Previously, we discussed how anterior pelvic tilt, or the forward rotation of the hips, can contribute to low back pain. We've already gone over various techniques that we can use to loosen the surrounding tight structures. Now we're going to go over some techniques that we can do to strengthen the surrounding loose or underactive structures. The first muscle group we're going to cover are the abdominals. The abdominals is going to help bring the pelvis back into that neutral position by pulling up on the front of the hips. There are two aspects of the abdominals that we want to challenge. The first one being stability, and the second one being mobility. The stabilization component comes into place on things during prolonged standing or prolonged sitting. This is going to help keep the torso in upright and proper posture. The mobility component comes into play when we're doing things such as bending down and twisting, or bending over to reach for objects and lift them off the ground. The most common stability exercise for the abdominals are planks, and there's a good reason why. They transfer over very well to standing and prolonged seated activities, and are very good at maintaining that stability all around the core. So that's not just the abdominals, but also the low back as well. So to perform a proper plank, you want to make sure that the elbows are underneath the shoulders first off, and that's going to help reduce any sort of pain or discomfort in the shoulder. Then what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze the glutes and tighten the abdominals to bring your body up into a straight line. Again, maintain your elbows underneath the shoulders. The other thing to make sure that you don't have any shoulder discomfort during this exercise is make sure that shoulders are in a neutral position. So you don't want them too far forward and you don't want them too far back. This can put the shoulders at a disadvantage and can cause pain or discomfort during this exercise. So make sure that they're in a good neutral position. For the parameters for this exercise, you want to start off at 15 seconds and work your way up to a minute. You can do this over the span of a few weeks. So for the first week, you can start off with 3 sets of 15 seconds, doing it 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then the next week, you can bump it up to 20 seconds. And then you can continue doing this until you reach a minute on your planks. The next variation of the plank that we're going to go over are side planks, which are really good at activating the oblique muscles. So in order to perform a proper side plank, again, you're going to make sure the elbow is directly underneath the shoulder. And then what you're going to do is take the top leg and stagger it in front of the bottom leg. This is more for comfort than anything else and doesn't offer too much more to the challenge of the stability component. Next, you'll place your free hand on your hips, and then you're going to drive the hips up until your body comes into a straight line. And then you're going to continue this exercise for 15 seconds. Again, same thing with the normal planks. You can work your way up to a minute. Next, we're going to challenge the mobility component of the abdominals. So to do this, we're going to be performing a variety of crunches. The first one that we're going to do is you're going to lay down completely on your back with the head supported on the ground. Then what you're going to do is you're going to activate the abdominals by coming up just a slight amount, so that way you're building tension in the abdominals, and then you're going to come back down. You can perform repetitions anywhere of 15 to 30 of these. Now, the next type of crunch we're going to do is more of a full crunch. So what we're going to do is we're going to place both hands behind the head and the neck, and we're going to keep it supported. And then we're going to activate the abdominals a little bit more to bring ourselves a little bit further off the ground. And then we're going to come back down. Again, we can perform anywhere from 15 to 30 repetitions of this exercise as well. A key thing when performing this exercise is not to force the head and neck into a more hyperflexed position. This is going to cause neck pain, and not to let the neck relax too much to where it's almost looking straight back, because that's going to create pressure in the neck. So the whole point of the hands is to support the head and neck in a neutral position. So we're keeping it nice and straight, and then we're crunching up as far as we can. and then coming back down. The next variety of crunches we're going to perform are oblique crunches. So we're going to be laying on the side, and then our arm on the bottom, we're just going to have that relaxed out in front of us, keeping that shoulder underneath us. We don't want it too far forward, and we don't want it too far back. This could cause shoulder discomfort. And then we're going to place the hand behind the head. And again, we're not cranking on the neck. We're just placing it here as just an area to keep the arm in a more comfortable position. And we're keeping the head in line with the body. Next, we're going to activate the line between the hip and that lower rib cage to bring us up into an oblique crunch. And then we're going to come back down. And the same thing with these. We can perform 15 to 30 repetitions of these to work the obliques. The next exercise we're going to perform is the reverse crunch, which is going to target the lower abdominals. To perform a reverse crunch, we're going to start laying down on the floor with the knees bent to about 90 degrees. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to contract my lower abdominals to bring my feet up towards my chest. And I'm going to use those lower abdominals to slowly control the movement back down to the floor. You can perform anywhere from 2 to 3 sets of these with 15 to 20 repetitions. The next exercise we're going to cover are called spinal extensions. To perform a spinal extension, imagine that you have a line starting from the hip going up to about the mid-back. We're going to start with our face flat on the floor and the hands down by the sides. We're then going to lift our upper torso until the chest comes off the floor, keeping the head in line with the body. And then we're going to slowly come back down in a controlled manner. You can perform anywhere from 2 to 3 sets of these with a rep range of anywhere around 15 to 20. One exercise that's really good for abdominal activation is known as the abdominal rollout. It can be performed with 3 different pieces of equipment: a Swiss ball, a foam roller, or an ab wheel. Today I'm going to be demonstrating it with both the Swiss ball and the ab wheel. So to perform it on the Swiss ball, I'm going to start with the Swiss ball a decent amount away from my body where I can just barely reach to touch it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten up my core, and I'm going to begin to roll forward. I'm going to keep the head in line with the body, so I'm keeping a nice straight line in between my head down to my tailbone, and then I'm going to use my abdominals to drive myself back up. To perform the same movement with the foam roller, it's going to be fairly similar. Keep in mind that the foam roller is going to be a lot more difficult to perform the movement as opposed to the Swiss ball because you're closer to the ground. This will also give you a little bit better abdominal activation. So again, I'm starting with the foam roller out in front of me, and then I'm going to slowly begin to roll forward until my body becomes parallel with the ground, and then I'm going to use my abdominals to roll myself back up to the starting position. You can perform anywhere from 2 to 3 sets of these, and you can do 15 to 20 repetitions. The next exercise we're going to cover are called wood choppers. This exercise is very good for working out the obliques on the side of the body, and it translates very well over to any sort of twisting activity. So if you're lifting something up and doing a slight turn. So what we're going to do is this can be performed using either elastic bands or on a pulley machine at the gym. First thing you want to do is you want to start with both hands in the loop or around the D handle, and you want to create a little bit of tension so that way the band's kind of pulling you in the opposite direction. Keep the core nice and tight, both feet facing forward, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up in a diagonal direction, going in the opposite direction of the band. I'm also going to twist my foot that's closest to the band in a direction so that way I'm using both the hips and my obliques to complete the motion. This exercise can be performed for 2 to 3 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions.